So maybe I'll do a few of these videos here because Tennessee Technology Solutions, he did a few recently, and I kind of enjoyed them. So maybe I ought to do a video. I've been around the commercial industry for quite a while. No longer in it, commercial two-way radio, but been in and around the hobby side, the commercial, still around on the hobby side of it. Still have quite a few contacts in the commercial side, and some of his stories are cracking me up, and I was like, geez, I could tell you some stories here. But anyways, so one that comes to mind is quite a few years ago. Some of the things, like, people throw their arms up there. There are some strange ducks in the amateur radio and GMRS community, and some of my stories, and I even have some from the commercial side that maybe I should share, but if there's any interest in this, I'll keep it going. But I'll tell one. So quite a few years ago, there was a group of us. We were all commercial radio technicians. Some of them still are. We had a local repeater, and we were definitely a colorful bunch. I mean, I don't think we were breaking any rules or doing anything profane, but we definitely were not the hi, fine business, good luck in the contest, OM kind of crowd. Oh, the weather over here is blah, blah, blah. And what's the other one they like to say? Oh, I'm in the car at the grocery store while the YL's in shopping, and I'm going to get on the 40-meter CW net. We were definitely not that crowd. And anyways, so we had our own little repeater, and we kind of just stayed over there, and we kept to ourselves, and no one really ever got on it. And it wasn't that we weren't welcoming or anything, or if anyone wanted to get on, but we just had our thing, and we kind of cut it up in the mornings. And anyways, I don't remember what happened, but something happened to the repeater, and I think maybe we were waiting for parts or something. So the repeater was kind of like temporarily offline, and in that period of time, a friend of mine who I considered a mentor, kind of an Elmer type figure, he approached me. He knew I had a cache of MSF 5000 repeaters, and the local club here, they were like using some sort of like what's that one they used to advertise in QST, Hamtronics. I think they had like a Hamtronics like crystal repeater that was very decrepit, and I don't know. He was like, hey, would you mind donating one or whatever to the club? And I had no association with the club, no ill will towards this club. I was like, yeah, sure. It's all about the community, right? I mean, I've always, anyone that's known me, I'm more apt to give someone a piece of equipment or loan someone a piece of equipment rather than just being in it solely for the buck. And there's nothing, I'm not putting people down that, capitalism, I'm certainly not putting that down, but I'm just saying, like, sometimes I'm more of the spirit of the hobby and the camaraderie, to help a fellow radio hobbyist out. So anyways, he had asked, would you be willing to, donate a repeater? And this friend of mine, he's a very competent RF engineer, knew a lot about these MSF 5000s, probably more than I did, and it needed a little bit of a conversion. He was like, yeah, if you just give it to me, I'll take care of it. And I was like, okay, no problem. And he said, I'll make sure to let them know that, you donated this to them. This repeater was like light years ahead of, in terms of like getting a real repeater. So he put it online for them, and it happened to be near where I lived, and the repeater that me and my friends were using was not near where I lived. And we'd used it a few times, and I figured, I don't know, what's the big deal? Like, I'll use the repeater. So we were using the repeater, and I kind of found out, which this was kind of funny, is I think this club might be defunct. I'm not sure. I don't think it exists anymore. They did like an awards banquet everywhere where they honored people that did like exceptional things for the club. They honored him with Ham of the Year, and part of that was because he donated this repeater, which he was a little embarrassed to receive the award because he was like, listen, I just was the conduit in between, and I provided a little bit of conversion service, but this donation did not come from me. So I thought it was funny that he got this award, and whatever, I kind of chuckled it off. I had a good sense of humor about it, and we kept using this club's repeater, and I don't I think we toned down some of our grab ass that we would do when we would talk. I do seem to remember we toned it down a little bit because we were kind of playing in someone else's sandbox. Well, of course, with QRZ and everything, it's kind of like the NCIC database, like on a police cruiser. You type in someone's license plate. Of course, I have my license tied to my email. So he looked all of us up, a member of the club. Some of us had email addresses, and of course, there's a mailing address. Everyone got a letter and an email basically saying, hey, this guy was not an officer of the club. He was just a member. And he said, like, hey, I'm glad you guys are enjoying the repeater, but, a repeater costs money. And there's electricity and site rent and maintenance. And, you guys need to be a member of the club to use this repeater. Which there are repeaters out there that are like that, and I would respect that. Excuse me. This repeater was not that. It was an open repeater to anybody to use. And basically it told us not use the repeater anymore, which I really thought was hilarious because I'm like, who's this bozo? So we stopped using the repeater and went back to our own club president of the time. Had found out. He was pretty irritated by it because he knew I was one of the people and was kind of like, that guy donated the repeater to us. Like, why would you, just some guy who was just a member of the club just took it upon himself to send us a letter and an email to be like, yeah, these things are too expensive. You guys got to be a member of the club. And I could almost understand if it was more like, hey, we noticed you've been using the repeater. We'd really appreciate if you joined the club. That wasn't the letter. I almost wish I framed it and hung it up because it was pretty funny. I wish you could have seen the look on my face when I got the letter in the mail because I was like, are you serious? So when some of these clubs and stuff wonder why, they're struggling with membership or whatever, I do think that some of these, and this is not the only club. I could tell you another story about a time I was asked to come into a club that I am not a member of to give a presentation, and I encountered an individual that was so socially repulsive. And I don't mean like, I don't want to be mean by like looks. His social character, like his mannerisms and the way he conducted himself with people was so repulsive that we took a break during my presentation. I had to give a presentation on All-Star Link. They decided to take like a bathroom break and a smoke break. I just packed up my stuff and left. I was like, I couldn't even get through the presentation. This guy was such a dink. I think some of these clubs, they have people in them that they just need to show the door. But I don't know. They don't want to because, kind of like an Animal House. We need the dues. Anyways, Radio Man out.